if you're new to this channel, you need to know this fact. China is about to crush many automotive companies. They're going to flood the market worldwide with affordably priced electric cars, which are either on par with gasoline-powered cars or cheaper. They've already started doing it. The EV I've bought, an equivalent gas-powered vehicle, is almost exactly the same price. However, MG has gone a step further. Their new MG is on sale in Europe right now at a price that is lower than comparably specified gasoline-powered cars. This is happening very quickly. Within 12 months, EVs will be available broadly across much of the world at prices on par with gasoline-powered vehicles. And it won't take long for owners of these cars to tell their friends and their friends to realize, yes, we want one of those too. We don't want our gasoline-powered car. What happens? Very quickly, people start dumping this old stuff off. And then what happens to the resale value of this old stuff? Well, believe it or not, contrary to weird ideas out there, these things are actually worth virtually nothing. The same thing will happen to gasoline-powered cars. Their values are going to fall through the floor. This will wipe off millions of dollars of value in actual vehicle stocks sitting in yards. If car manufacturers make gasoline-powered cars, it's not only going to affect the value of your car, it's going to affect the value of all the stock they have and the value of the plants they had and the value of the machinery they have, which makes those gasoline-powered cars. Billions of dollars will be lost. Make no mistake about it. Over the next 5 years, it will not be cheaper to buy a gasoline-powered car. In fact, the purchase price of an electric car will be cheaper along with the running costs, and the residual values of gasoline-powered cars will plummet. Here is why I am begging you. Please sell your gasoline-powered car within the next 2 years at the latest. Otherwise, you will lose tens of thousands of dollars in resale value when you finally realize the end is here. There is two very big reasons, very compelling reasons for why electric vehicle adoption will not only speed up in the next few years, but why gasoline-powered cars will be essentially dead in almost every country around the world by 2030. I know, it's only just over 7 years from now, but it will happen, and it will happen no matter what companies like Toyota, who are trying to stop it from happening, attempt to do. Something just happened that many of you didn't realize happened. You probably don't care, but I'm telling you now, you should. The Chinese automotive market this year is now bigger than it's ever been. In China, they'll sell more than 26 million cars in 2022. That means that China is not just the number one auto market in the world, it's actually taking a bigger share. And it also means that countries like Japan, who were once relevant to the auto market world, to the auto world, no longer are. Now, what this means is brands have really no choice. They must do something. They must sell to their biggest market. Think about it. 50% of all Mercedes vehicles sold this year have been in China. Volkswagen makes 50% of their profits in China. You can say the same for many of the world's biggest automotive companies. So in other words, they have really two choices. One of those, make cars the Chinese want, which are EVs. The second of those, don't make cars the Chinese want and lose sales, lose market share, and basically lose the biggest market in the world. What choice do you think any of you have? Now, I know many of you are holding out. You want a gas-powered car. You hate EVs. You watch this channel just to say, I hate EVs and I hate you. But you know what, my friend? Why fight the inevitable? It's here, accept it, because it's actually a really, really good thing. In fact, one of the key reasons why Chinese EV buyers are buying EVs is because of what I'm about to share with you. And it's a key reason why electric cars are not just great for people in the first world countries, in the West, in America, in Europe, but they're also possibly even more important and even more beneficial to people living in third world countries. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. Great to see you. Welcome to all the new subscribers. Welcome back, everyone else. Thank you for tuning in. this video I've thought about for quite a long time. Many of you in the United States who watch this channel are still holding out. Some of you in Australia are still holdouts. You still think gasoline-powered cars are going to be big on the world scene in 2030. And I've been arguing that that is utter baloney and is completely false. Now remember, automotive companies have to make products that sell to the majority of buyers. If you put China and Europe together, the two areas where EV adoption has gone the fastest and will continue to speed up, then the inevitable obvious result is clear, which is this. If you're a big company, you have no choice. If you want to sell in Europe and China in 2030, you cannot make gasoline-powered cars. So realistically, for those of you who think that these companies are going to be still selling gasoline-powered cars after 2030, well, maybe, but who are they going to sell them to? That's my question. Who is going to buy them? We're already about to hit 45% electric vehicle market share in China next year. We're going to hit 30+% in Europe. By the time 2030 comes along, the market for gasoline-powered cars worldwide will be less, way less than what anyone, even all the experts, are predicting. Now, one of the interesting things I've noticed this year is that Western media has completely ignored the fact that the Chinese automotive market has increased in size, taking up a larger percentage of global vehicle sales, period. They've also ignored the fact that as this happens, one thing is happening in China. Chinese EV companies, along with Tesla, are disrupting legacy automotive companies. Now, these legacy automotive companies, for many years, China has been their biggest market. That won't be the case in 10 years' time from now. It cannot be. They're being disrupted and they're not ready for electric vehicle adoption in China, which is happening at an incredibly fast pace. And this is benefiting Chinese automakers, BYD, Leap Motor, GAC, NIO, Chery, the list goes on and on and on. These companies, which were once small, are growing rapidly in size. In October, China's auto output and sales maintained a steady and rising momentum. The output and sales of electric vehicles reached a new high. And in the same month of October, Chinese citizens bought 2.6 million vehicles, representing a year-over-year increase of 11.1%. In the first 10 months of this year, 22.24 million vehicles were delivered. That's an increase of 8% versus last year. And you might be thinking, oh, that's great, but I mean, there's not room to go anywhere from here, right? We're going to hit 26 million sales in China this year. That's more than 1/3 of the entire global automotive market. But I mean, it'll probably slow down. Will it? Guess what? Guess who has more savings than any other nation per person on earth? More savings. The Chinese do. So yeah, in the US, how many of you guys, have, say, $50,000 to $100,000 sitting around in your bank account that you could go and use to buy a car? Well, there's people doing it, right? In Australia, there's people doing it. But the reality is, there's way more people in China. In fact, there is millions and millions of people in China that have very large savings deposits who are capable of buying a new car. We don't have anywhere near that number of people in Western markets, in the Western world, who can go, you know what, I haven't owned a car before. I've only owned cheaper cars or cheaper bicycles or electric bikes, electric mopeds, etc. I'm going to go buy an electric car. I'm going to go buy a car. How many people can we say that about in the West? There's actually not very many. In China, there's tens of millions. In October, with 337,000 vehicles shipped overseas by automakers in China, the country's monthly auto export volume reached a historic high. This is the biggest it's ever been, with a 13% growth over the previous month and a surge of 46% year over year. So Chinese exports of vehicles have grown by 46%. Guess what? Japanese exports of vehicles, where do you think they've gone? Do you think they've gone up or down? Well, yeah, it's pretty clear. I'm sure you know the answer to that. Of the vehicles shipped overseas in the last 4 weeks, 110,000 were electric vehicles. That's an increase of 120% month over month. So 120% more than last month. What do you think is going to happen in the next month? Another 120%, another 120%. How long do you think it takes before these Chinese electric cars just flood the market, flood Europe, flood Australia, flood countries where any countries where people will buy EVs and where there aren't prohibitive reasons for not being able to sell those EVs? Guess what? There's probably 100 countries worldwide that are just taking deliveries now of vehicles from China which are electric. This year, vehicles from China will account for about 65% of worldwide production. In the first 9 months of 2022, EV sales in China doubled to 3.6 million units. That doesn't include plug-in hybrids or any type of hybrid version. According to actual official government data in China, China has hundreds of startups operating in the EV sector, including offshoots of large conglomerates where they have billions of dollars of funding that they have access to, and conventional ICE vehicle manufacturers who have their own electric vehicle departments, which are growing rapidly. Now, one of the key reasons, right, why people in countries such as China, other countries in Southeast Asia, even in India and many other countries around the world where you would think, right, the grid doesn't work for EVs, it's not going to work. Well, one of the key reasons why people are buying them is because there's features in EVs that actually benefit them even more than what they do us. Remember, if the grid is so unstable in these countries, then having an EV is actually extremely beneficial. And if it was so hard to own an EV and live in an apartment block, then why is it that 30% of all sales in China right now are electric cars? Think about it. How many people in China live in apartments? About 80% of the population live in apartments. And yet, they're buying EVs en masse. So it's actually not that difficult. At the turn of the millennium, cell phone makers and service providers were blindsided when the public seized on their new handsets' ability to send text messages, a feature conceived as secondary to actually making and receiving calls. Now, EV owners and manufacturers are discovering that the cars and trucks they bought to cut running costs and clean up their local air have a useful and surprising feature that they're wondering how they ever lived without in the past. That's what people are going to say. More and more tradespeople, more and more consumers will realize that this feature is what defines a vehicle. And one of the key reasons why you don't want to own a gasoline-powered car. I'm talking about bidirectional two-way charging, the ability to use an EV's battery to power external devices on a work site or at a campsite or anywhere else you might be, or houses, or even to send power back to the grid and make money using, say, things like Tesla's virtual power plant. It's a function that's increasingly being offered by new electric cars. Vehicles that offer it right now include the Nissan Leaf, the Ford F-150 Lightning, Hyundai Ioniq 5, Kia EV6, Mitsubishi Outlander plug-in hybrid. There's many vehicles in China that you haven't heard of which have this function. And this feature is proving incredibly popular in China. 1 in every 4 cars sold there is now fully electric. Is of course going to help boost sales of EVs in other markets like North America, Europe, etc., where EV uptake is happening a little bit more slowly. Marketing messages from Ford and Hyundai in North America have emphasized that bidirectional charging can make camping trips more fun and provide added convenience for tradespeople working on sites that don't have access to electric power outlets. Now, this is actually a feature that's being massively underrated. Auto News China says that the boss of a construction firm used the BYD EV he has to power the heating at a friend's house in 2019 during a 20-hour blackout and relies on it every single day at work to boil a kettle for his crew's tea breaks. Not all EVs that offer bidirectional charging do it equally though. Cars with vehicle to load capacity, V2L, can provide AC power to charge large electric devices and don't need a special bidirectional charger, relying instead on an integrated inverter. As its name suggests, vehicle to home or V2H charging can send power to a house, lessening demand on the grid and potentially saving the homeowner money during peak hours, and vehicle to grid or V2G can send power back into the grid, but it requires a power inverter to switch the power back from DC to AC. One high-profile EV firm notably absent from this trend right now though is Tesla. However, the new Tesla Cybertruck will and is reported to have these features, in fact, all of them. I believe in the future, people will consider V2H, V2L, and other features like that in an EV to be indispensable. And one of the key reasons why that people who buy pickup trucks and other commercial vehicles will actually end up leading the electric vehicle revolution. it won't take them long to realize these vehicles are far superior to gasoline-powered vehicles which simply don't have the ability to do this. Now, there's two factors here that I'm talking about in this video that will drive the EV revolution much quicker than what people realize. North America is dominated by pickup trucks. Pickup trucks, the owners will want this feature. You cannot get this in a gasoline-powered car. The global auto market now is being increasingly dominated by China. China's market is bigger than anyone else. And guess what? People in China want these features and they want EVs. Now, if you're a big manufacturer, you basically have no choice. Make cars for China and make electric pickup trucks, or essentially your market is going to shrink enormously. Let me know your thoughts on all this in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.